Hello everyone, welcome to Inconvenient Truths. I'm your host, Jennifer Zeng. Today I will show you some videos from different cities in China first and do some updates on the situations in those places. Then I will talk about how the Beijing Winter Olympics could become a double failure for the CCP, as well as a grave security concern for anyone who is going to attend the games. And lastly, I'd like to respond to a comment left on my show yesterday. So please make sure you stick around till the end. Last Friday, the CCP admitted the first Omicron case in Beijing. Other big cities, including Shanghai, Zhengzhou, and Guangzhou, all reported new outbreaks. Up to now, 14 provinces, which is almost half of China, have all reported Omicron cases. Before we talked in detail about how the Winter Olympics has forced the CCP to admit that its zero-virus policy is a failure. Let's do some quick updates on situations of some other places. We've reported before that Tianjin, a city only 60 miles away from Beijing, was partially locked down after Omicron cases were reported. Buses of people were taken away during this past weekend. Let's watch a video first.
逃难，这大过年还提前过年了，你还乐？
过不了年了。
哎呀，
不来了。
哎呀，行啊，外面过年去了。
开始出发，整个的林间、大林间、小林间，整个出发，一家不留，全出发了，都开始出发。
Okay, the women was saying everybody was leaving, nobody was left. So everybody is going to spend their new Chinese New Year holiday somewhere else. Now let's watch another video of migrant workers gathering and protesting against the lockdown. It was said that these workers didn't get any food deliveries after being locked down for 9 days. One man jumped on top of a car and gave a speech. He was arrested later. It is not clear whether other people were also arrested or what has happened since then. I couldn't hear clearly what he said. It sounds like, what are we going to eat? How about the Tianjin government? Something like that. Many people are watching. They're shouting, release him, release him.
赶紧录像啊！赶紧录像！赶紧录上！明天找纪检委。
Someone
赶紧
shouting.
录像啊！明天找纪检委。
Hurry up, film it.
找检察机关。看到了吗？看到了。明天就是。
放人！
Well, that's a video from Tianjin. It was said that there were similar protests in Xi'an, but we don't have any videos of those. It is very hard for people in China to post anything sensitive on social media. It can be deleted soon after, or perhaps can't be posted at all. Next, let's watch a short video from Shanghai. It shows students in Shanghai University frantically fleeing their campus as if it were the end of the world. They were told by their teachers to flee as soon as they could, because if they didn't, they could be locked up inside the campus and then wouldn't be able to leave at all.
不让出去了吗？
你又回去了？
我天哪！不让走了，这是。看一下啥情况。
你给他打电话，录音电话，打电话录音。不是。
慢点，慢点。
Well, that's University of Shanghai. Next, let's watch another clip of a mother desperately screaming outside a shopping mall in Shanghai. She had just been away from her child for a few minutes, but a sudden lockdown order separated them. After watching this video, you will understand why when you need to run, you really need to run fast.
小朋友被关在这，小朋友被关在里面了，可怜啊！哎呦，你看起来，忽然间环球港被关啊！
So this man is saying suddenly the shopping mall is locked down, and her child is locked inside. Okay, the next video shows a man crying and begging the staff to let him take his family to the hospital, stressing again and again that he comes from a medium risk area, not a high risk one. This video really breaks my heart.
我报警察过来，我又不是搞你，不是中共你进去，对吧？啊！我求你们还不行吗？我救你的事情啊！救你的事情啊！你们是什么？你们不是在看？
Well, that a man on his knees begging the staff to take his family to the hospital. Next, let's watch a video from Henan province. Now, let's do some quick updates on Xi'an. The CCP claims that things are gradually going back to normal in Xi'an and did quite a lot of media reports to prove it. And this report shows a fruit store owner whose name is Ma Xue'e talking about how her shop is doing. But in this report, The same woman, Ma Xueye, is a pharmacy clerk. And in this report, this woman is the director of a health center in Henan province. That's another province that is hundreds of miles away. And this report published in August 2020 shows that this woman attended a grand event in Henan province to celebrate the victory of pandemic fighting. She was given the title of an outstanding CCP member at that grand meeting. So, what do you gather? It shows that the CCP's propaganda people are not doing their job that well, right? At a recent press conference held by the Xi'an government about the situation in Xi'an, a so-called reporter asked such a question. Some people are having neck and shoulder pain because they spend too much time watching TV or on their cell phone. What suggestions do you have for those people? Then the official talked on and on about how people should deal with their neck and shoulder pain resulting from watching too much TV or from cell phone use. The press conference was altogether only 30 minutes, and that official used 12 minutes to answer this one question. Nobody dared to ask any challenging questions, such as how many people have died from the lockdown instead of COVID. There's another true story in Xi'an. A woman's mother had cancer and needed treatment. In the first 3 days of the lockdown, this woman made nearly 1,000 phone calls just to try to find a bed for her mother in the hospital. She said on average, she needed to dial 200 to 300 times for one call to get through. She finally found a hospital, but that hospital didn't have the equipment or the medicines that her mother needed. So her mother died shortly. Next, let's go to our main topic today, how the Winter Olympics has forced the CCP to admit that its zero-virus policy is a failure. On January 15th, the CCP admitted the first Omicron case in Beijing, but couldn't find how the woman was infected, as she had not left Beijing in the past 2 weeks. 2 days later, the CCP figured it out. It came from Canada. As this woman had received a mail package from Canada, that package left Canada on January the 7th. After passing through the US and Hong Kong, it was delivered to the woman on January 11th. Then this woman became ill on January the 13th. And then on January 15th, the CCP found Omicron on the package from Canada. How do you like this story? The virus left Canada on January the 7th and was still alive after 8 days when the CCP did the test. Is that possible? Doctors say that Omicron is an airborne virus. It's not about surfaces, and it cannot survive on a lifeless object for more than 3 to 2 days. Another problem is there are other 8 people, post office workers, who had already touched that same package, but none of them were infected. But the CCP acted as if the virus really came from an international package. Let's watch a video of what the CCP is doing to those packages and other objects. Today, the CCP reported 5 new local Delta cases. It says all the 5 infected persons are cold storage workers who load and unload things. So altogether, Beijing has 24 cases now. Maybe this time they will say that the virus came from the frozen food imported from another country. An interesting thing is, when they reported about the 5 new cases today, they used such a title, breaking. 5 new positive cases found in Beijing. WHO warns humans may never be able to eradicate COVID. The report quoted WHO's Executive Director Michael Ryan as saying that humans may never be able to eradicate COVID. It may eventually become part of our ecosystem. New variants may keep coming, etc. Also, the CCP has announced that tickets for the upcoming Winter Olympic and Paralympic Games in Beijing will not be sold to the general public in response to COVID-19, but will instead be distributed by authorities. As far as I can see, these are not small issues for the CCP. They indicate that the CCP is preparing to admit or has already indirectly admitted that its zero-virus policy has failed. Up to now, the CCP has always been boasting about how successful it is with its so-called pandemic fighting. However, by admitting that it is not possible to eradicate COVID completely in its official media report, and by stopping the selling of tickets to the public, it has actually admitted that its zero-tolerance policy has failed. And this is not a mere failure in pandemic control. It is also a partial failure of the Winter Olympics itself. The 2008 Olympics was portrayed by the CCP as a sign of China's rise. The CCP initially planned to portray this year's Winter Olympic as a symbol of its global power and strength. But now, with the out-of-control outbreaks, the Winter Olympics can hardly be portrayed as a perfect event, even before it starts. We can reasonably imagine that although the CCP won't sell tickets, it will still organize large crowds to go watch the games. There are already rumors that employees of state-owned enterprises as well as students will be organized to watch the games, and they will surely be tested before they go. But the problem is the CCP cannot guarantee that the test results are 100% accurate. If they are not, there will still be opportunity for the games to become a virus-spreading event. I think another purpose for the CCP to only allow an organized audience is to prevent unwanted things from happening. Imagine someone suddenly holding up a banner that says Genocide Olympics during the live broadcasting of the games. The CCP definitely doesn't want that to happen. Not selling tickets will, of course, make the CCP suffer some financial losses. But for the CCP, the purpose for hosting the games is not to make money, but to earn political credit. So financial issues are not the main concern. There's another issue that I'd like to remind athletes and media people who are going to Beijing to attend the games. Many international media outlets have already reported that Beijing Olympic app My 2022 has devastating security flaws. Canadian researchers detected spyware in the app developed by Beijing Financial Holdings Group. The vulnerability makes audio files, health, and custom forms transmitting passport details, and medical and travel history for the players insecure and at risk of being compromised, and the app is vulnerable to hackers. The Olympic organizers have asked all the game attendees, including athletes, spectators, and media members, to download and start using the My 2022 app and enter all the information in the app, including information related to health and customs such as COVID-19 test results and vaccine status. Canada's Citizen Lab also found that this app posed a threat to security as it could allow unauthorized people to access information whilst it is transmitted onto the server. Obviously, that is a big problem, but I don't know how to solve this if one must install it in order to attend the games. Well, that's all for today, but before you go, I have one more thing to say. Somebody left me a comment yesterday and asked me whether I write my scripts in Chinese and if there is someone who translates the scripts into English for me, as he found that I have problems pronouncing some words well. Well, I hope there is such a person, but unfortunately there is not. I write all the scripts myself. Sometimes I have to look up words I don't know in the dictionary. For example, I didn't know the word Achilles tendon when I wrote the script yesterday. I knew the Chinese words, but not the English term. That's why I had a problem saying it well. To be frank, English is only my second language. I was already 35 years old when I left China, so it was already too late for me to get rid of my accent. And it usually takes me 2 to 4 times more time to write in English than in Chinese. I don't know why I chose to impose such a difficult task onto myself. Well, just joking. I know what I'm doing, and that's why I've been doing it. But please do forgive me if my English is not perfect, and support me in any way you can so that I can have the courage to carry on with such a difficult mission. Well, that's really all for today. Thank you. See you next time.